it you think that's her appeal? Do you think it's because she's not your typical star?
She's like a great underdog story. It's like a Hollywood movie. You couldn't have written this script better, which is this lonely lady living in her little house in this little village in Scotland, but all her life dreamt about becoming a star, and no one ever took her seriously. And her last attempt was to come on the show Britain's Got Talent. She walks on, everybody laughs at her again, and then the minute she started singing, her life changed forever. And now it ends up with her going in at #1 in America. You can't write a story like that.
Tell me about the documentary you're making about Susan.
Well, we were approached by ITV to make really a special on her, which was about her life, her life story essentially, to get to know more about her. And we had cameras on her all the time. She was in America, so we're kind of documenting it from the beginning through to her appearing on the show, what happened, which was quite publicised afterwards, how she dealt with all the pressure, got back on her feet, made the album, and ended up where she's going to end up this week.
Have you learned anything new or different about her?
Well, it's her story, and so you hear a lot of it now in her words, and you hear how she dealt with everything, what her life was like before you met her for the first time on Britain's Got Talent, because nobody really knew anything about her. And what's fascinating is just seeing it through her eyes, how one television performance changed her life forever, and how the internet made her the most famous person in the world.
Okay, let's go on to Oprah, because you are a huge Oprah fan, and as we all know, she's leaving the show. What are your thoughts on her departure?
I'm not surprised, to be honest with you. When you've been that successful for so many years, there is an enormous pressure to stay on top, and it gets harder and harder and harder. And I always believe that you go out on a high. So I understand why she's doing it. She will go out on an almighty high. I'd like to make some shows with her. I mean, she's a very smart girl. You don't remain that long at the top without being intelligent. And she is super, super intelligent. And she knows her audience. So I'd always like to do something with her. I don't know what it would be, but I've always gotten very well with her, and she was very kind to me, and she's been very supportive to whatever I've done over there. So I'll really miss her.